back to the Real Games Cast. We're going to move on to segment 2 of the show for this week, and it's going to be our mailbag. We're going to have 2 discussion questions that we're going to talk about a little bit here. First off, Jared writes into the Real Games Cast and asks, I enjoyed listening to you guys argue about Mass Effect 2 versus Skyrim last week. I believe myself that Mass Effect 2 is a better console game than Skyrim, while Skyrim is the superior PC game. What are your thoughts?
Well, I can see why someone would say Skyrim is a better PC game, because you can mod the game to where the dragons are Charizards and My Little Ponies. You know what?
Why do you want to kill My Little Ponies? Sure.
Why wouldn't you want to kill My Little Ponies?
But anyway,
breathe fire and frost.
I mean, this brings us back to something that we argued about last week. We argued again when we went to dinner.
Yeah.
We're obviously not going to agree on this.
No.
Because Mass Effect 2 is obviously the superior game.
No.
You guys just haven't picked up on this yet.
I love Mass Effect 2. I just like Skyrim more.
Mass Effect 2 is a great game.
It's a better game than Skyrim.
Well, that's your opinion and your perspective.
You know what you sound like? You sound like all the people saying American Sniper should win Best Picture.
No, I don't.
Just because we don't agree with you.
Well, I mean, IGN has my back here. Which one has an IGN Game of the Year award? Which one doesn't?
You're looking at it as... Okay, let me put it this way. Me and Sheila are going to a game. Well, at least I do. I don't know if you do. But I go into a game like Skyrim, and I want to get completely immersed to where I can spend hours playing it and feel like I just completely left life.
That's
with
exactly
Mass Effect, I don't do that.
I do in Mass Effect.
I can't do that with Mass Effect.
When I sit down and I play Mass Effect, I'm so engrossed in the story and the characters and everything that's going on that I don't care about anything else. I am Commander Shepard. I don't feel that way in Skyrim. I feel like it's just a big empty world with junk to do.
Well, it's not really an empty world. It's full
of bandits. There's dragons.
It's a game full of fetch quests with a couple boss fights.
One of the best dungeons in that entire game. I can't remember the name of it, but you walk in and it's literally a forest inside of a cave.
Yeah, there was one time I was walking through the forest.
I don't think that can happen, but carry on.
I was walking through the forest, and on Rogue Knight there are forests and stuff inside a freaking castle.
Knight? You mean Rogue Legacy?
Rogue Legacy, whatever.
Carry on.
Sure. I was walking through the forest one time and I saw a cave with a wooden door on it. This will be like a little small one-room cave that probably had like a chest or something with some gold in it. I walked in there and there was like 17 bandits sitting around a fire, and they just look up at me and they're just like, "Hey!" And one of them pulls out a bow and arrow and shoots me, and I was just like, "Nope!" And I turned around and walked out.
I think the thing about Mass Effect 2 and all the Mass Effect games is, no matter what you do, something is scripted. Whether you did this sequence of events to get to that result, or that sequence of events to get to that result.
That's another thing I love about Mass Effect. Mass Effect 2 was the first video game ever to have decisions you made in a previous save mean something in this sequel.
And I love that about Mass Effect 2. But I didn't get to play Mass Effect 1, so that really hampered it for me. I didn't get to use my choices for Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3.
I mean, as a person that went through it all from 1 to 3, with all the DLC, and I sank so much money into this series. Now that I really go back and think about it, but anyway, as a person that went through it from start to end, I was so connected to my Commander Shepard, and when that ended, I will never forget when I traded in my Xbox 360, and my Commander Shepard got wiped off that console at GameStop.
Aww.
I swear to God, I nearly cried.
Aww.
I'm telling you, it broke my damn heart to know that my Shepard was gone after all that work. I mean, you might sink 500 hours into Skyrim. I sank probably 300 hours into my Shepard over the course of 3 games. But I played a huge story. You guys don't get to play a huge story in Skyrim.
But you get to play in a huge world.
I don't care about playing in a huge world.
Okay. So here's basically what it boils down to. It's not Mass Effect 2 versus Skyrim. It's
the whole concept.
It's the 2 entirely different concepts, because they're both Game of the Year winners from various.
They're both RPGs.
Both RPGs. Yes, they have different combat systems, obviously.
Very different.
Yeah.
And they have a different concept.
I mean,
Mass Effect 2 has this big scripted story that is affected by your decisions. Skyrim throws you into their world and says, here is your playground. Go do with
Skyrim
you
seems
wish.
to be more of a make your own story kind of game.
It is.
But
Which is why I love it so much.
Mm-hmm.
well, see, that's why I don't. I like linear game experiences, and like The Order. You know, The Order is a short 7-hour linear tale. Go here, do this.
Movie.
Story progression.
Yeah.
Uncharted. Go here, do this. Story progression. I like that. I don't like having to spend. What's the main quest in Skyrim? Maybe 8 to 12 hours.
If that.
If you run through it.
And
I mean,
it's,
you beat it in no time.
it's only that long if you're not leveled up to fight the enemies.
Right. So for me, that's exactly what I would do. I would run through the main story. I would beat it, and I'd be like, well, done.
And well, with the Mass Effect games, for me, the story never really gripped me that hard because it's an RPG and it's open world. So what I do when I'm playing an open world RPG is I'll do a couple story missions, then I'll go off and do my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I do my own thing and try to go back to the story mission, I don't remember. Like, I remember what happened, but it doesn't appeal to me as much as like an Uncharted.
Mm-hmm.
When I finish a mission and I go straight into the next mission.
Where it's straight linear.
Yeah.
And you're always going through the story.
I mean, I'm always sidetracking, and it never really like captivates me, which is why I like Skyrim so much because the story doesn't really matter. You just do what you want.
And really, it's also about obviously our gameplay styles are different. You like The Order, and you like that linear experience. I like some games like that, and I don't get me wrong, I love the Mass Effect 2 series. I love all those games. But then again, I also do love Skyrim because of its open world.
The main reason that I choose Mass Effect over the Elder Scrolls is because I want story over substance. I can play a terrible game if it has an excellent story to it.
Yeah.
A really good example of that is Deadly Premonition. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Never heard of it.
It was a terrible Xbox 360 game that came out probably about a year after launch. It looked like a cheap PS2 game. It was awful.
I remember. It's some kind of like horror game, right?
Yes.
Is it the one with like the eye?
Yeah.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
It's got a really, really weird, interesting story. I think IGN gave it like a 2.
I noticed you have Deadpool. Is Deadpool kind of like that?
Deadpool's hilarious.
But does it have a good story with bad gameplay?
Not really. Deadpool's just really funny.
Oh.
I mean, games that I have right now. Assassin's Creed. It has good gameplay. I'm not going to knock the gameplay of Assassin's Creed. But the first Assassin's Creed is actually an excellent example.
Yeah.
That game plays like garbage now.
Yeah.
And if you want my retro review of it, check out realgames.org. But that game plays like garbage now. It is atrociously bad to play.
Mm-hmm.
But the story kept me pulled into it. As repetitive as it is, I played the whole game, and at the end, I was mad as hell because I struggled through it. But at the end, I was so satisfied with the story that I'm still playing Assassin's Creed. I'm up to Brotherhood now.
Yeah.
I mean, because I care about that story so much. So to me, I just value story over gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can get through weak gameplay for strong story. Mass Effect just happened to bring the two together for me.
Yeah.
Where it's got incredible gameplay, it's got incredible story, and now it's finally together. That's why it's my favorite game series of all time.
And I'm the opposite of that. Like I love a good story. I love games that have great stories.
See, if
I can play a game if it's like really fun, but it doesn't have a good story.
I can't. If a game has a weak story, it could be a 9 out of 10, and the one knock be the story, and I will not play it. I cannot get through that. I'm trying to think of games that had weak stories but good gameplay that I couldn't play. People enjoyed. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
I'd have to do some digging.
Well, I mean, Watch Dogs is another one. The gameplay of Watch Dogs was nothing special. I mean, it was a fun game. The driving's atrocious.
Yeah.
The gunplay's pretty okay, but it had a story that I liked. I got behind the story of Aiden and, you know, trying to save his sister and blah 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 blah. But I mean,
You know, one of the games that I thought had really good gameplay, but not a good story, were Grand Theft Auto 4. I didn't like the story, like Nico's story, that much at all in Grand Theft Auto 4.
Nico's story dragged.
It did.
His story dragged quite a bit. It was really good at first, and then it got the second act of that game is such a drag.
Yeah.
And it's another game that is at the time you're like, oh man, this is a real next gen Grand Theft Auto. It's so amazing. But you go back now and it's an empty world. Like,
yeah.
You know, I knocked The Order in my review for being a very pretty look but don't touch environment. And Grand Theft Auto 4 at the time, looking back, was kind of the same ordeal. There's, you know, it's a huge world with Liberty City, but there's not really a lot to do in it.
No. Nothing fun, at least, besides bowling with Rowan.
Cousin! And we're going to move on to our second question. John writes into the Real Games Cast, and he says, I believe that American Sniper should have walked away from the Oscars with the Best Picture victory. Bradley Cooper should have been the Best Actor because he basically became Chris Kyle. How can anyone think that Birdman is better than American Sniper?
I think Birdman was better than American Sniper.
Okay.
I'm just going to ask you, be tame on this one.
Okay.
Be tame.
You may hear some profanity here. We will bleep it out, I promise. But more than any other year in recent memory, I was completely blown away by how deep the Best Picture category was this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it was.
The Imitation Game, any other year could have won.
It was a great game, or a great movie.
The any other year, the Imitation Game would have probably won. Theory of Everything could have won any other year. Boyhood would have won any other year. Selma could have won any other year.
If it wasn't up against Birdman, I think Selma.
Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah.
Which racked up. I think it won more Oscars than any movie last night.
Yeah, it got a lot.
Yeah.
I think Birdman might have got a couple more.
No,
Birdman only won 4 Oscars last night.
Grand Budapest Hotel won 4 or 5.
Something like that. Birdman's original, the acting's top notch, the cinematography, and the visual effects in that movie are so engrossing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen a movie shot like that. There's 16 cuts in the movie, but you can't see them. It looks as if it's one continuous long shot, and that's incredible to watch.
The only really times I could tell that they changed the take was when the camera would pan up to the sky and it would like do a time lapse so it would get darker, when it would pan up to like a building.
Yeah.
That was the only time I could tell.
The score, which
which it won last night.
No,
it didn't.
It was disqualified
because it was just drums.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Whiplash won Best Score, didn't it? Or Theory of Everything, one of those.
I can't remember.
I predicted the Theory of Everything. Whiplash won. It's fun. It's funny. It's weird. It's kooky. It's movie. It's shocking. I love the movie so much. Yeah. Boyhood was an amazing achievement for what it was.
12 years making a movie.
Right. And Richard Linklater, I think, should have won Best Director. I'm not mad that the guy from Birdman won. I'm not going to try to say his name. I'm not mad that he won, but I think Linklater should have won. Whiplash could have easily been Best Picture.
Yeah.
That's a movie. Another one. It's got a really good score and it's got a really good pace to it. And it's really good. It's much better than American Sniper. Grand Budapest Hotel is the essential Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it is everything that Wes Anderson is. 2 movies that wasn't nominated that should have been Gone Girl and Nightcrawler.
Foxcatcher. Yeah.
We've sat here and named 8 movies that are vastly superior to American Sniper.
Yeah.
American Sniper's a good little movie for what it was. It was not. American Sniper's not worthy of being nominated for an Oscar. It definitely should not have freaking won one.
And also, to be honest, I think Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh,
because I knew that would never get a Best Picture nomination. I think it deserved one.
It should have been considered.
Simply, if they should just make a new category called Best Villain and put Koba there. Just put Koba.
I thought you said Pumbaa.
I thought you said Koba.
Yes.
I thought you said about Timon and Pumbaa
all
for a minute.
fear the majestic Pumbaa.
Don't judge me. But I mean, and
And
on to the other thing that John asked. he asked how Bradley Cooper could not win Best Actor. Well, first off, there's this guy named Michael Keaton. He made a movie called Birdman. It won some awards last night. I think it beat American Sniper for some other Best Picture win, something like that. But anyway,
he's just getting salty now.
He is salty.
This Michael Keaton guy turned in a hellacious performance in Birdman. He didn't win an Oscar.
Really good.
Which is atrocious. I think it's complete. Eddie Redmayne, I'm sure, was fine in the theory of everything. So it was really, obviously, he was really good. He won Best Actor. He's not better than Michael Keaton.
No.
Michael Keaton was freaking amazing in Birdman.
Oh.
Ben Affleck was really good in Gone Girl.
Yes.
He got snubbed from even a nomination.
The biggest snub.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
I'm not going to try to pronounce his
in
name.
Nightcrawler.
David Oyelowo.
Martin Luther King Jr. from Selma.
Yes.
He gets snubbed.
Any other year, I think he would have won it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, I like Bradley Cooper. I do. Silver Linings Playbook. Great movie.
Rocket Raccoon.
He
Guardians
was great.
of the Galaxy.
He gave a better performance as Rocket Raccoon than he did as Chris Kyle.
I thought he did really good as Chris Kyle.
I mean, he's
that was
good.
one thing I really liked about the movie. I thought that was one of his better performances.
I don't want to knock his performance as Chris Kyle. He was engrossed in the role. He was good in it. But he's had better performances. And he was what he done, that movie in itself and his performance, is not Academy Award winning good.
No.
Now, here's what I'm going to say.
I do think he deserves the nomination, though.
I have received a lot of backlash about me saying that American Sniper should not have been nominated.
Mm-hmm.
I've been asked multiple times, do I know people who have served in the military and why they think it's bogus?
Got one right here. I did.
Mitch has served
No
in the
one can see you
military.
raising your hand.
My grandfather has served in the military. My uncle has served in the military. Most of my family has served in the military, and me myself am going into the military. Just because it is a movie about an American hero does not mean it is the best movie of the year.
Right. You know, and I've seen people on Twitter and Facebook say, well, you know, those Hollywood liberals aren't going to let American Sniper win. Those Hollywood liberals made the frickin' movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're the ones who they produced it.
You know, they kind of financed it. Bradley Cooper, I'm pretty sure, was a Barack Obama supporter in 2012. Yeah. He kind of starred in the movie. Now, Clint Eastwood, I'm sure, is a Republican, but you cannot tell me that politics are the reason American Sniper didn't win. American Sniper didn't win because it was not the best freaking picture last year.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many people have just come up to me and said how ridiculous it is that it won, because it is a movie about an American hero. You know what's a movie about an American hero? Lone Survivor, Black Hawk Down,
Full Metal Jacket.
No, Lone Survivor came out in what?
It was a fifth round, but that's not a true story.
Lone Survivor came out in what, 2013?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Why did no one go big? I know it wasn't nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah, no one freaked out over that one.
You know, Chris Kyle is an American hero.
And Lone Survivor was a better movie.
Yes, Lone Survivor was a better movie.
It was a much better movie.
I had more emotion in Lone Survivor than I did in...
I was much more engrossed in that movie than I was.
Well, maybe because one of the reasons is, I'm just going to point out, I want to give my quick little tidbits about American Sniper, about why I don't believe it should have won, and why it should have been nominated. One, CGI was terrible in the movie.
Yes, it was.
It looked like a toy helicopter was flying through the city in that final scene.
Well, I mean, there's that wonderful scene with the baby.
It's a plastic baby doll. For a scene that is supposed to be emotional and make you feel something, Clint Eastwood could not have found a actual baby? He used a baby doll? What is the woman's name who directed The Hurt Locker?
Catherine Bigelow.
If she had directed that, then it most likely would have gotten an Oscar nomination.
The Hurt Locker did win Best Picture, right?
It won Best Picture.
I mean, those Hollywood liberals...
And Zero Dark 30 was nominated.
Yeah, the Hollywood liberals didn't have a problem giving out Oscars to those movies.
And to a female director for all the people
because they were good.
Yeah.
If you make good movies, you win Oscars. If you make bad movies, you don't. That's how it works.
Now, American Sniper. It was a movie meant to let people know about an American hero, Chris Kyle. Had over 160 confirmed kills, probably more than that. We will never know. He died doing a great service to this country, trying to help the veterans as they come back from wars. He served 4 tours in Afghanistan and Iraq. I believe Afghanistan and Iraq, or was it just Afghanistan?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. Either way, he served 4 tours, at least in Afghanistan. So, and I appreciate everything he's done. In this country.
Praise the guy.
I appreciate everything.
I'm not bashing Chris Kyle at all.
Everything our armed
just the movie about it.
Our armed forces have done, but it was a movie meant to let people know about him. It was not a movie that was supposed to be critically acclaimed. And most people were like, well, why didn't American Sniper win? Out of the $600 million of all the nominees for Best Picture, Bradley Cooper's movie about Chris Kyle, American Sniper, made $300 million. You know what made more than that? Transformers.
Boom. I mean,
I've
had a lot of people say, I've had a lot of people say, well, American Sniper made more money than any of those movies. If we're going to start handing out Oscars for what makes the most money, Michael Bay's going to have a shelf full of Oscar awards.
Oh, yes.
And I'm going to tell you right now, the day Michael Bay wins an Oscar is the day I give up on Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because, my God, that I can't even put it in words.
Another thing I've had a lot of people say is, they say, how come American Sniper didn't win the movie when it was the best movie last year?
But they
hadn't
watched
seen
the other
Birdman
movies.
or Selma
Right.
or Boyhood.
Like, I know so many people that are just sitting there saying, no, American Sniper has to win. It's the best movie. Well, that's like saying the grape flavor is the best out of all of them when you've only had the grape flavor.
Right.
You know what that also means? If you've only watched one movie out of the 8 that were nominated, not only is it the best to you, but now it has to be officially the worst because it's the only one you've seen.
Right. Yeah, I've been really worked up over this all day. I'm not gonna lie. I've been really upset because I've had a lot of people talk to me about it, and
it's like if the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles got nominated for an Oscar. What did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles win? They're turtles that are ninjas. Who cares? It sucked.
Another problem here is people that don't quite understand the art of cinema.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have people that are like, oh man, I loved American Sniper, it was so good. But then they watch Birdman and they don't really understand why it's such a special movie.
They just find it boring.
Yeah. Yes. They don't look at long shots and the editing and
realize that
and the score.
That's an achievement.
Right. They don't look at it that way. But they just think that movie was weird. And it's kind of funny at times, but it was weird.
Yeah.
Why do I want to watch Michael Keaton walk through Times Square in his underwear?
Or float.
Right.
Floating in the middle of air in his underwear. Talk about how the world smells like balls.
And people just don't quite understand. They don't have the same understanding that I'm not going to say I do. I'm not a member of the Academy. But they don't have the same understanding of how cinema is as an art that the Academy has. And do I personally think the Academy's out of touch? Yeah, I do. I think the Academy is too old.
Yeah.
And they need to have more younger members in it. But I'm not going to act like I'm more knowledgeable than the Academy. And I don't think people on Facebook and Twitter should either. People like Sean Hannity on freaking Fox News shouldn't be telling me that the Academy don't know movies. Because they do.
Yeah.
That's their job.
There's a reason their awards are the most prestigious award.
That's why when people get mad at the police they're like, why aren't you doing your job? Trust me, that policeman or that firefighter or that soldier, people are so bad. People are so backwards because they're like, why are they not doing their jobs right? Why don't you put on the uniform and go out and serve in Afghanistan? Why don't you put on the uniform and go fight out a fire?
We'll learn some rules of engagement.
Yeah, just learn some respect because people will also say, how many people bash Chris Kyle because of the way he talked about killing the terrorists? They're like, he's a monster. Why does he do this? So much backlash was when that movie came out. But then when the movie's put up against all the movies no one else has seen, why didn't it win? Well, y'all were just bashing it. You know what that reminds me of? The scene from the play Caesar by William Shakespeare. Mm-hmm. When, Brutus is the bad one, right?
Yeah.
Brutus gets up there and says...
Brutus Cassius.
Yeah, he says, Caesar was this bad guy. Everybody should hate him. And they're all like, yeah. And then right after, Mark Antony comes up and says, no, Caesar was a good guy. Why aren't you supporting him? Yeah, he's good. Kill Brutus.
Yeah.
People don't know what they want.
He who speaks last speaks loudest.
Yes. And obviously, the first
American Sniper came out last, so...
Yeah, so there you have it, folks. If you want something, stick with it. Don't accuse Chris Kyle of being a monster and then be mad when his movie doesn't
If you loved American Sniper, great for you. Go buy it on DVD, go buy it on Blu-ray.
I'm
Support the art form.
I will probably buy it.
But did it deserve to be Best Picture? Did Bradley Cooper deserve to beat Eddie Redmayne, or who should have won, Michael Keaton?
Or even David Oyelowo.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck.
I mean, no. The answer is no. He didn't. His performance is not better than those guys. That's just the way it is. And if you can't deal with that, then try something new.
Try a video game.
Yeah, really. We're going to wrap up this week. One thing I do want to do before we really close out the show is introduce a new topic that we're going to start doing next week. We're going to end all of our shows with this new topic. And it's going to be our favorite comic book character that you have never heard of. Which is going to be our way of exposing some of you to some of the new characters that Marvel's going to be introducing in the next few years, such as Black Panther and Captain Marvel. We might review some of DC's characters that some of you more mainstream non-comic readers would not be as inept with, such as Aquaman and
Shazam!
Shazam's actually a really good one. Black Adam, some of the different Green Lanterns, other than Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
John Stewart, Alan Scott, some of the other Green Lanterns. So yeah, we're gonna start that next week. And our first one next week I'll do, and I'm gonna bring you Booster Gold. Booster Gold supposedly gonna be getting a sci-fi show here relatively soon. So
I think I'll bring in Constantine from DC.
Even though he's already on TV, okay.
But
you're right. You're right because nobody's watching.
Won't be on TV for long.
Yeah, really.
Still a good show.
Never mind. We'll talk about this later.
Next week, folks.
Anyway, we're gonna start that next week when I bring a nice little report on Booster Gold and kind of tell you guys why he's cool, what his powers are, some of his origin, and just give you a quick introduction to the character and why I think he's pretty awesome. But other than that, we're going to wrap up the show for this week, episode 5 of the Real Games Cast. We've been doing this for a whole month. Wow.
I guess we have.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to thank everybody that's been visiting realgames.org. We have now crossed 1,500 page views. Thanks to everybody that's visited my review of the Order 1886, our most viewed item now, approaching
by far.
Yeah. That's been really cool. So I want to thank everybody that's been visiting our stuff. And if you like what we're doing, continue to visit realgames.org. Follow us on Twitter, where I'm going to be giving away a digital copy of Birdman sometime this week. So if you're listening to this and you want to go to our Twitter and check it out, there will be an outline for how to win a free copy of Birdman at Real Games. On Twitter, at Real Gamescast. You can also like us on Facebook, facebook.com/RealGamesCast, and support us at patreon.com/RealGames. Thank you guys for joining us this week. Again, I'm your host, Mitch Smith, alongside the most majestic name in the business, Jordan Augustus Steen, and the plethora of pterodactyls, Tristan Shore.
Sir points out a lot.
Captain Obvious.
Sir points out a lot.
Sir points out the obvious a lot. There we go.
See you guys.
See you guys next week. Thanks for joining us.
Adios.
Muchachos.